Welcome, mortal creature. This vast metropolis houses thousands of tortured souls, all dying for someone to hear their tales of woe. Our stories are many, but very few souls dare to venture into our world. Have a seat and listen to our stories. For those that say dead men tell no tales, have never ventured into our realms.
I want to tell you what happened to me when I pet sat for Mr. Wells. I want to tell someone, anyone, about my time there, because I feel like I don't have much time left. I want to tell you everything before she gets to me. Who's she, you may ask? Let me start from the beginning. Last month, I was your average, broke, top ramen-eating college student. My roommates and I were barely scraping by with our various retail jobs, mine being a barista at a cozy little coffee shop. Don't get me wrong, I actually really liked my job, but I wasn't exactly raking in the cash, and after rent and monthly expenses, I barely had anything left over. Then one day I saw an ad posted up on the bulletin board at the cafe I worked at. It was a flyer with a picture of the most adorable puppy ever, with the caption, "Will you watch me while my dad is away?" How could I not respond to the ad? Plus, the extra money couldn't hurt. When I called, the man that picked up the phone seemed pleasant, albeit a little bit skittish. But when I heard the job was $1,000 to watch the pup for a night, I jumped at the chance. That much money just to play with a dog for one night? It sounded too good to be true. That's because it was. That should have been my clue to turn it down. But again, broke college student, very much on the naive side of life. So I went, and what my Uber pulled up to should have been clue number 2. The house was massive and decrepit and, well, creepy. But ever the optimist, I convinced myself that maybe he didn't have time to keep up with the large estate. My Uber driver damn near peeled out of there, and for a split second, I wanted to just call another one and leave. But I didn't really even have money for that first Uber, let alone another one without getting this pay from Mr. Wells. I walked up to the door and saw a note addressed to me on the ugliest floral stationery ever. It read, "Dear Miss Andrews, thank you so much for watching my little Moo while I'm away. He is a very friendly dog, so I think you won't have any trouble at all with him. Please do not leave Moo alone, as he gets very afraid at night, nor should you take him out of the house. He is still a pup with shots not yet up to date. A few things to keep in mind. My house is old, so it's not without its own personality. Please pay no attention to the creaks and groans, as old houses are prone to them. Help yourself to anything in the fridge. I fully stocked it before I left. And by no means should you open the closet at the end of the second floor hallway. No matter what. Key is under the mat. Thanks again. Best regards, Mr. Wells." And that should have been clue number 3. But, driven by my need to get by, I pushed thoughts of the odd note out of my head as I reached underneath the doormat to retrieve the key. I thought that I would at least have a chance to meet the owners first. That would have been the normal thing to do, right? But no. This man left me a note and keys to his house. Red flags everywhere. But did I listen? No. I pushed the door open and looked around the house. The inside was a stark contrast to the outside. Every room was cleaned and immaculate, almost sterile. It was decorated beautifully, but the house had the feel of a model home, instead of one that was actually lived in. I heard the slight tapping of little paws and turned around to find Moo staring at me. His wagging tail, tongue hanging sideways out of a big goofy smile, and head lightly askew as if wondering who I was a huge relief to me. I almost felt relieved that there was something alive in the house besides me. I spent the next few hours playing with Moo and wandering around the huge home. He trotted beside me as I rifled through things here and there, opening up different doors to see what was inside. I stopped as I came up to the closet at the end of the hallway, the one I wasn't supposed to open. My hand raised up to the doorknob as my mind screamed for me to stop. It was almost as if my limbs were acting of their own accord. My fingers locked around the knob as I started to turn it. Moo's sudden whimpering broke my thoughts, and my hand recoiled away from the knob as if I had been burned. I looked at Moo and saw him crouched behind me, tail between his legs as he gently pulled on my pant leg with his teeth. I shook my head, clearing the thoughts completely as I hurriedly walked off, Moo keeping pace as we got as far away from the door as possible. The rest of the night was uneventful as Moo and I settled down with a movie and some snacks. I must have dozed off at some point during the movie and awoke with a start to a darkened room. I don't remember turning off the lights or the television, but both were off and I was completely submerged in darkness, except for a light on somewhere upstairs. I heard Moo whimpering and called out to him as I rubbed the sleep from my eyes. Looking around, I noticed he wasn't anywhere in the room with me, but I could hear him whimpering somewhere in the house. I followed the noise to the second floor, and just as my feet hit the landing, I spotted him, sitting in front of the closet. The light that was on was the one directly in front of the door. I called Moo to me, and he turned to give me a sorrowful stare, as if he were rooted to the spot against his will. I walked towards the closet as I kept calling to Moo, my breath caught in my throat when I heard a light scratching coming from inside the closet. After a minute, the scratching stopped, and the faint, raspy voice of a woman called out from within the room I was not allowed to open. "Help me!" My throat went dry as I came right up to the closet and pressed my ear against the dark mahogany door. "Help me!" I was about to open the door when I remembered Mr. Wells's note. By no means was I supposed to open the door, no matter what. That's exactly what the note said. I scooped up Moo and started walking backwards away from the door. I was almost to the top of the stairs when I heard the voice again. "Natalie, open the door." It called me. It called me by my name. I ran back to the door and flung it open. As soon as I did, I was standing there staring face to face with myself. It took me a moment to realize that I was staring into a mirror. That was it. That was all that was in the closet, was an antique mirror. I let the air I was holding in my lungs out in one giant breath. All that fuss over a mirror? I turned and was abruptly greeted by the face of a woman, black sunken holes where her eyes should be. Thick spider webs wrapped her head like a veil, covering sallow skin that stretched around a gaunt, corpse-like face. Her mouth opened wide as she screamed and screamed. I jolted out of sleep, thrashing around as if to fight off the women I had seen in my dream. It was a dream. I had dreamt it all, and now I was actually awake. Everything was as I had left it. Lights on, movie playing, Moo snoring at my feet. It took me over an hour to calm my nerves. I ran upstairs and stared at the closet. It was closed, no lights on that I hadn't turned on myself. I settled back down on the couch with Moo, but couldn't sleep for the rest of the night. The next day Mr. Wells returned, and paid me the agreed upon amount. Even though I was sad about leaving Moo, I can't exactly say I was sad about leaving that house. When I got back home, my roommates were just headed out the door to their jobs. They asked me how it all went, and I shrugged and said everything went fine. I mean, the only thing that scared me was the dream I had. I took a shower and got comfortable in my bed for a long night of studying when I received a text message from Mr. Wells. "You opened the closet. I told you not to open the closet. You don't realize what you've done." I stared at the text, my hands shaking. I thought it was a dream. I didn't open the closet. It was a dream. The notification on my cell phone signaled another text, but my hands were shaking so badly that I accidentally dropped the phone. The flash from the camera went off just as I saw the door to my closet creaking open. My hands shook uncontrollably as I snatched my phone. The camera had caught a picture of what made my closet door open. Mr. Wells' text message was only 4 words. "She'll follow you home."